And now for our feature presentation.
With the American Indians in this area for years. They refused Washington's demand, and the situation remained unresolved. As traders from the British colonies continued to push westward into this territory, it became clear that a trade war was brewing. Many American Indians who had lived on the land for centuries saw the French and British as a threat. The key to controlling these contested lands lay in western Pennsylvania, where the Monongahela and Allegheny rivers met to form the westward flowing Ohio River, and where the city of Pittsburgh now stands.
I spent some time in viewing the rivers and the land in the fork, which I think extremely well situated for a fort, as it has the absolute control of all rivers.
The French were also aware of the area's strategic importance. Traveling by rivers, the superhighways of their time, they quickly moved soldiers and supplies to the forks of the Ohio River and built Fort Duquesne. The British had to cut their own highways through the dense mountain forests. Before long, Washington was sent to western Pennsylvania again, this time in British uniform, and with more men under his command. His mission was to open a road for the British Army that would soon follow and drive the French from the forks of the Ohio. It was not an easy. The British claimed that a Frenchman saw them coming and shouted an alarm. That the French fired first, and the British only fought back in self-defense. As the fighting ended, Half-King stood over the wounded French officer, Louis Coulon de Villiers. A tomahawk was in his hand. Which side fired the first shots remains unclear. What is certain is that Jumonville's death would have far-reaching consequences. Washington had his men build a stockade and ready themselves for the French retaliation he knew would be swift. He called it Fort Necessity. The French and Indian War had begun. Washington's fears were soon realized. On July 3rd, 1754, he and 400 men were attacked by French forces led by Captain Louis Coulon de Villiers, the brother of the slain Jumonville. It did not go well for the British.
It was an unequal fight, with an enemy sheltered behind the trees, ourselves without shelter, in trenches full of water, in a settled rain, and the enemy harassing us on all sides incessantly from the woods.
Sir, we've received a reply.
Militias was to seize Fort Duquesne and take control of the forks of the Ohio River. British soldiers, working under the direction of Major General Edward Braddock, widened Washington's earlier road, clearing the way for troops and wagons. Washington served as Braddock's aide. Many American Indians had joined the French side, but others were willing to fight with the British if Braddock would assure them of one thing. Shingus, a Delaware chief, asked Braddock what he would do with the land after driving the French away. Braddock replied that it would belong to the English and that no savages should inherit the land. When Braddock's comments were reported to the nations of the Ohio Valley, many immediately joined the French. Braddock's army met French and American Indian forces along the banks of the Monongahela River. After several hours of intense fighting under a hot summer sun, Braddock was mortally wounded and his army in retreat.